Thank you for joining us in our first year's Bible study, the year 2022. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this is our daily Bible study. Today we're going to cover the meaning of recovery. So let's go straight back to Mark chapter 16 and verse 15. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they. And here we see the significance of the promise and the assurity that Jesus gave to us, that believing in his name, having confidence in his name, because we understand what the name symbolizes, these signs shall surely believe. They will have the power to cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing by mistake, now remember, we are not to tempt God by just trying to show off. This is a blanket protection that if someone seeks to poison us, it won't hurt us if we have the belief in the name of Jesus. Then he goes on, and they shall lay hands. Who is the they? It goes back to he that believeth. They shall lay hands on the sick, and the sick shall recover. Now, when we looked at the term recover the last time, we found that it had many different meanings, but it really talks about going back to being suitable, going back to that which is becoming, going back to that which is in line with wellness, having recovery or recover fully and to be well. And when we looked at Thayer's, it said to be beautifully or finely excellent, well, rightly so, that there shall be no room for blame. And it talks about being commendably well or excellently well, in a good place, comfortable. Also, those to be well who are recovering their health. And when we looked a little further and we talked about it, so it speaks, or the word kalos, it speaks of a return to something, a returning to that which is in alignment with wellness, the wellness of the nature. When we talk about physiological kalos or physiological wellness, we're speaking of then that which is in realignment to the, I'll say, design and the functionality of the entirety of the body. Now, to fully understand this and to bring it back to conformity, we have to understand that, excuse me, part of the process of wellness is encoded within the physiology. The body is designed to literally bring forth a biological life, to heal itself, to repair itself within reasons. And without the nature of sin that invaded the physiology, the body would keep repairing itself. In normal conditions, the body will create antibodies that will war against sicknesses, viruses, or bacteria or germs. The body repairs its cells. The body repairs its blood. Everything in the body speaks to life that always brings recovery. And so here, when we look at the gospel message and we look at Jesus, he then tells us that to have an affinity and a connection to the name, to believe that the name is indicative of the embodied character of Christ, and therefore the name is associated with, and the name, because it is attached to the Jesus of Nazareth, who was the Emmanuel, God with us, the very name in the lips of those who are believers of that name. It houses life. It houses strength. It houses recovery. So now, what does recovery mean in just what we would call the regular, normal English language? If we look over here, recovery then means a return to a normal state of health, of mind, or strength. And so again, recovery then brings us back to the alignment of the purpose and the design of those things that God has placed within the script of the physiology or of the humanness of mankind. It also can deal with the action or process of regaining possession or control of something stolen or lost. And so there are two things that are significant when it talks about the recovery or the term recovery. Number one, it is a return to a normal state of health of mind and strength of body. And for our purposes, we'll also say spiritual strength. Remember that the inner spirit of the born again individual cannot be tainted, cannot be made worse, because it is sealed until the day of redemption. And so when we speak of spiritual health, we're talking about the realignment of the mind, of the entirety of the soul that now works in conjunction with the spirit. As the spirit is leading and guiding, there is an attachment now, or those attachments that allows the mind to hear, to perceive, to discern, and to associate with whatever the spirit is now leading us to do. So a normal return to the state of health, physical, mental, and spiritual. And then the action or process of regaining possession. The body can return to strength and health as well as the mind, but now the individual has to lay hold of it, possess it, keeping it for the purpose of walking in it, using it. And so of regaining possession or control of something that was stolen or lost. This indicates that there are two things that can happen with our health and our strength. In many cases, it's lost because of perhaps behavioral activities, how you eat, the lack of exercise and motion, the lack of eating vitamin and mineral enriched foods, or behavior where you're consuming things that are really harmful to the body. And in other times, it can happen because your enemy literally seeks to steal your health. Always remember that sin and death came to mankind as a result of mankind falling. But sin and death entered into the world as a result. When I say the world, I'm talking about the created world, the material world. It entered when Satan, or when Lucifer, became Satan. And I know in many cases it's not popular now to speak of Lucifer as being connected with Satan. There's so many things that are happening within the doctrine of Christianity. And if we're not careful, we will lose the very rights, the very foundations of our doctrine that set it apart and made it a supernatural entity. And so Jesus speaks about the promise of laying on of hands, those who believe in his name, and the return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. And so Christianity is yet a religion that is filled with the supernatural. It is filled with miracles. It came forth from the foundations of the supernatural. And that's why we can rely on the name of Jesus and understand it to mean that recovery is taking back the loss of life, strength, and health. I thank you for joining me. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this has been our daily Bible study. God bless you. Until the next time.